asylum seekers to be sent on a one-way ticket to Rwanda. Critics say the policy is cruel, unethical and unworkable, but will it deter those making dangerous trips across the Channel? Also tonight.
News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. Both Boris Johnson and his Home Secretary, Priti Patel, have tonight defended a new government plan to send some of the asylum seekers who illegally arrive in Britain to Rwanda. Under the scheme, many migrants who arrive in small boats across the Channel will be detained and flown on a one-way ticket to the East African country. Some critics have branded the plan evil. Well, the Prime Minister says he expects a legal challenge. Priti Patel was in Rwanda today to seal the deal, for which the government is paying an initial £120 million. Our political reporter, Shihab Khan, reports. Well, the government says it's confident the plan, with the help of the Royal Navy vessels patrolling the Channel, will go a long way towards helping stem the tide of small boats laden with asylum seekers trying to cross to Britain. The numbers have been rising exponentially. In 2018, just under 300 small boats made the crossing. 2 years ago, it was nearly 8,500 boats. Last year, approaching 30,000. But can this plan really deter the migrants and the people smugglers? Geraint Vincent reports. Well, if not a deliberate, then perhaps a welcome distraction for the Prime Minister from Partygate. Mr Johnson took time out from defending the immigration scheme to pledge he would set the record straight in Parliament next week about his lockdown fine. More dissenting voices emerged from within the Conservative Party today. Our political editor, Robert Peston, joins me now. So, Robert, is Boris Johnson confident he can get through this?
That no COVID rules had been broken. We know to Anushka is he would tell MPs what particular party, the birthday party that he went to, we believe that there are going to be more fines. Confidence in him may well eke away. When I talk to Tory MPs, they say not impossible that they will get rid of him.
Thank you. The MP for Wakefield, Imran Ahmad Khan, has said he will resign after he was found guilty of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy. And his resignation would mean there will be a by-election. Mr Khan was... Within the last few minutes, a court in America has found a British man guilty on charges relating to the notorious Islamic State terror gang known as the Beatles. After a 3-week trial, El Shafi El Sheikh has been convicted of lethal hostage-taking and conspiracy to murder. Our US correspondent Emma Murphy looks at the crimes committed by the gang of which El Sheikh was part. There is plenty more to come on the ITV Evening News, including it is a really open and honest interview. Do stay with us for that. See you after the break. Welcome back. Ukraine claimed today it has successfully hit and seriously damaged the Russian Navy's flagship Black Sea battlecruiser Moskva with 2 missiles. Russia denied it, saying the damage was caused by fire. More on this in a moment, but first to the area around the capital, Kyiv, where representatives of the International Criminal Court are continuing their investigations. As our correspondent Peter Smith reports, they are looking for testimony and evidence concerning allegations of possible war crimes. Here, a doctor in Scotland has been found guilty of 54 sex offence charges against women spanning 35 years. Worrying new evidence emerged today of the struggle the NHS in England is having to cope with the post-pandemic backlog of patients waiting for care. Waiting times are at record highs across the NHS in England. The waiting list for routine hospital treatment has grown to 6.2 million. And just 71% of people were seen within 4 hours at A&E last month, which is well below the 95% target. And while it took around 9.5 minutes on average for ambulances to respond to the most urgent incidents last month, NHS England pointed to falls in the number of long waits, but the charity, the Health Foundation, called the figures a wake-up call for the government. Our correspondent Deborah Cohen reports. You're watching the ITV Evening News. Here's what's still ahead before Emmerdale. But first, next month it will be 5 years since the Manchester Arena bombing took place. 22 people were killed in the carnage of that horrific night when Salman Abedi detonated his suicide bomb among crowds of happy young fans leaving an Ariana Grande concert. More than 1,000 people were injured. What happened will be forever seared on the minds of families and survivors caught up in the outrage, but it is also a dreadful memory for the first responders who arrived at the scene and had to try to cope with the horror. Lee Vaughan, a paramedic who was one of the first to get there, still lives with the painful mental scars of what she experienced, a trauma for which she says she hasn't had enough help. Amy Welch spoke to her. Well, Amy is at the Manchester Arena for us tonight. And Amy, how's the ambulance service responded to what Lee told you? Well, tonight an ITV documentary will explore what led the Manchester bomber Salman Abedi to carry out the attack, as well as featuring the stories of survivors and families of victims. It's on at 9 o'clock this evening. Now let's get an update on what is making the news tonight. Well, more on that story, and our correspondent Robert Moore joins us now from outside. Well, back here, whether people are intending to travel by road, rail, sea or air this Easter weekend, there are warnings of chaos and disruption. Rail engineering works, record numbers of cars on the roads, airport delays and long queues for ferries are likely to confront millions of holidaymakers. Whatever way people choose to make their journeys, major problems are predicted, as Ellie Pitt now reports. The Queen is expected to miss another of her cherished annual occasions this weekend. It's understood she'll not be attending the royal family's traditional Easter Sunday worship at Windsor Castle. Her absence from today's Royal Maundy service because of mobility issues was announced last week. Our royal editor Chris Shipp was in Windsor for the service, where Charles and Camilla stood in for the Queen. You're watching the ITV Evening News. Still to come. Join me and Alex for all that and more after the break. Welcome back. Now, with the Easter bank holiday weekend within touching distance, many of us will be wondering how much sun we're going to get. The good news, it looks like temperatures are on the rise. Alex is in Richmond in southwest London this evening and tell us more. Alex, are we set for a scorcher? Finally, here's a sport whose image is changing, darts. And one of those leading the way is an 18-year-old woman determined to knock the likes of world champion Peter Wright off his perch. Last Sunday, Bo Greaves became the sport's youngest ever world champion when she stormed through to win the women's title. But as she told Yasmin Bottleby, she doesn't want to stop there. So impressive. And that is it for now. Tom will be here with the latest on news at 10. But from all of us here on the Evening News team, thank you for watching. Have a very happy Easter. Bye-bye for now.